My name is Emily King, and I am a senior at Christopher Newport University, and I am an English major, but I'm really an English major because I really love poetry. And so I am going to read you one of my most recent poems. It's untitled because I don't really title my poetry, because I feel like titling poetry is or can be problematic, because when you read the title, then you tend to have an idea of what the poem is going to be, and then you have expectations, and I'd prefer someone to read my work and make their own conclusions instead of making it from the title. So, again, this is Untitled. I am every footstep taken by every man, woman, and child. I am the single drop of dew that shows me a truer reflection than any desperate-looking glass. I have wept at waterfalls and found true love within redwood roots. I have carved my soul into constellations and watched the dawn crack open and bathed in the warm yolk of every sunrise. Like Ginsberg, I too have seen Whitman in supermarkets. And like Whitman, I too have found God in leaves of grass. I have found God in the deceased that nourish the soil. I have found God in broken tiled bathroom floors. I have found God unconscious in gutters, needle-armed and black-eyed. I have found God in a red balloon caught by the skeleton of a tree. I have found God in the map of wrinkles that blanket a Vietnam War survivor. I have found God in the howling wind at the tender age of 3. I have heard my heart beating, silent to no one but myself. I have felt it vibrate, a lightning strike thundering down my spine, through my feet and into the ground, in order to join the drum circle of life. I have been blinded by sugar-crusted peaks, glistening in a pale winter sun that kiss the fog goodbye as the same sun climbs its celestial stair. I have found life at all ends of the earth, but I have to wonder, has life found me? So that's the end of my poem, and it's basically inspired by a couple things. I wrote part of this poem while watching a movie called Into the Wild, which is about a young man named Christopher McCandless, who in the early 90s left, or graduated rather, Emory University, and then burned all of his money and just left everything behind and hitchhiked across America to go live in the wild in a bus in Alaska. And I've read the book and I've watched the movie. The movie is wonderful. It's directed by Sean Penn, and I highly recommend it if you have not seen it. But to watch it and to experience the spirit behind Christopher McCandless and his desire to be with nature and to have this great respect for something that many people take for granted. I mean, you know, every day we drive places or we go outside, but how often do we stop and look at the stars or look at the clouds or think about how minuscule we are in the grand scheme of the universe? So that was part of the inspiration behind my poem. The other part was Walt Whitman himself. He loved Leaves of Grass, which is his major poetry collection, which includes Song of Myself, and he was a transcendentalist in the mid-1800s, and he also had this great love and respect for nature and all people, and I just found it amazing when I first read his poetry, and it was so inspiring that I combined both of the ideas from watching and reading Into the Wild and learning about Christopher McCandless, and by reading Whitman's poetry. And then that inspired me to write this poem.